This might not be the kind of footage you expected when clicking on a Dota 2 video about winning the lane and subsequent games, but don't be fooled. It's very apt with the subject we're going to be discussing with this video, and we'll get to it in a moment. If you like this type of content, I'd very much appreciate a thumbs up and a subscribe here on my YouTube channel. I work very hard at releasing weekly videos, and I hope to have your continued interest and support. One of the most fundamental aspects of Dota is laning. No matter how a game starts or ends, it's safe to say that the laning aspect of the game, often seen as the initial 10 minutes of the game, has a massive impact in how the shape of the match will look like. This is only ever more important in 7.33, with the large amount of changes that has befallen Dota as of recently, encouraging very active play often whenever applicable. For this reason, the thing we're going to talk about in regards to laning is the idea of resource management, making the most out of whatever tools are available to us when we're pitted against the opponent in laning stage. To begin with, it's very important that we know the foundations of the hero we're in possession of. The in-game client has exactly what we're looking for in this instance, and by heading to the Heroes tabs, clicking on the hero we're interested in, we can head into the About section of the hero and find exactly what we're looking for. The stats showcased here are extremely important, because it's the base stats that heroes happen to start the game with. And given that this, plus the initial items we purchase at game start, is what we'll be using on lane start. With all that squared off, we're ready to look at the core of what this is all about, winning the lane. I propose that viewing Dota 2 through the lens of being about managing resources, especially during the laning stage, as one of the premier ways of getting better at the game as a whole. While it sounds fundamental, Dota is a numbers game after all, and by knowing how much of an advantage you have on lane courtesy of your hero choice and that of your ally, you will know exactly what you're capable of in order to win the lane. To this end, it's important that we view everything that we have as expendable. Our precious tangos, our mana for casting spells, and yes, even our very life. And being willing to sacrifice it is what will end up giving us a positive outcome. Your right-clicking damage and spell damage is absolutely key to winning the lane, because it's through their proper aggressive application that you'll start lowering the enemy's resources while keeping yours intact, which will result in the lane being in a 1 state. However, every aspect of your hero has to be considered when winning the lane, and your health pool and understanding how to make use out of it is just as important in order to endure and succeed in a lane. You should see your total HP pool as a resource which is expendable, preferably close to the point of death. The higher total survivability you have as part of your kit, between your max health, armor, and potential spells to increase it, will all tremendously help in soaking damage and trading favorably with the enemy. This brings us back to the initial showcasing of Street Fighter 6. And why the mention of a fighting game is especially prevalent with the idea of laning in Dota 2. In Street Fighter 6, characters all have various moves available to them, as well as a total health pool and some meter-like mana to access parts of their kit. Much like I encouraged earlier in Dota 2, the clever Street Fighter player will use all available resources to him to ensure winning the match. And while it is a possible scenario to perfect someone, that is to say, win a match without taking any damage, there is so much fundamental resource management going on within a single match of Street Fighter. Players will be looking for how their opponent moves, how they apply aggression, and how they conserve resources. In response, they will come up with a strategy how to best bring down their opponent. This is exactly the same flow you'll be seeing from a high-level Dota 2 player. They will know which limits they can push their character, playing extra aggressive when they know they have the health advantage, and use their designed moves and/or spells to control the fight. By looking at Dota in much a similar fashion, we can take the very same fundamentals that we see in fighting games such as Street Fighter, and apply them in very great effect to our laning stage. It all boils down to lowering your opponent's HP to 0, and preferably going about it by spending the least amount of resources and efforts to accomplish that. But to be willing to use whatever method and assets we have available. By keeping our health high by method of using tangos and pots, we're able to take more harassment, and in turn, dish out a lot more damage back on the enemy. By way of applying pressure with our mana and keeping it in high supply, we're able to whittle down the enemy's HP and have them running scared. And by practice of combining these two concepts, using our build-in damage, our tankability, our health and mana, we're able to make favorable trades and informed decisions that will lead our opponent to reaching 0 HP. Being able to judge what you can and cannot do on your lane, whether you're position 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5, is absolutely paramount. And by trying to apply this fighting game logic of meter management to our Dota 2 laning experience, and logically think about how you're going to turn even an unfavorable matchup to your advantage, will have you see so much more success in your games. With all these systems in play, there's a reason why you'll see such a great difference between an intermediate player at the game and one that's of a very high skill level. The high level player questions his every decision on lane. how to take the best trades when jabbing and punching against his opponent, when he should fall back, and when he should be seizing his moment. This bopping and weaving, combined with making sure you're out-leveling the enemy via last hitting and denying creeps, will have you reach levels and power spikes faster than the enemy, opening up more of your kit, only giving you more options and opportunities than the enemy has. Truly, laning is a science, there's simply no arguing that. And with so many heroes being available in Dota, there's simply countless scenarios and endless diverse laning matchups that you'll find yourself on. But if you're willing to lay down the fundamentals and think critically about laning like this, viewing your health, mana and stats as resources to be spent in order to win the lane, and making the most out of them, I can with safety guarantee you'll see a marked improvement in not just your overall laning quality, but also a significant personal improvement to you as a player.